All right, this is an interesting piece of technology I've come across. This is a Biorad gel dock. It is something that you would use for gel electrophoresis. So this is a technique in molecular biology where you make this sort of gel out of this seaweed-like substance, and you use this feature of DNA where it's charged to pull it through this gel, and the larger fragments will pull through slower than the faster fragments. It's like a big guy trying to walk through the mall and get to the other side of the mall. He's going to, have a hard time moving through the crowd. And the small guy is going to go real fast. So this guy lets you analyze those gels. You use a UV fluorescent dye to look at the DNA and to make the DNA visible. And so this has a UV light table built in, and then it has a camera imager. And a lot of these get thrown out because they tend to be hooked up to computers with proprietary software and hardware that's obsolete. So they tend not to survive that long. Once the computer dies, the whole machine's worthless. At that point, the machine is no longer supported. But this one is old enough that it has a fairly standard TV camera interface. So I want to see if I'm going to be able to hook this up to a modern USB to CCTV converter, and then use a modern laptop to use this. Get it running again. So there's this little door that opens, and then this is the UV light table. You don't want UV to be out in the open without a special face mask, because you can burn your eyes, burn your skin easily, obviously. So all this stuff, this crud, is dried buffer, ethidium in it, so I'm going to have to be very careful cleaning that out. Ethidium bromide, the dye you use, is a mutagen. So I have my camera hooked up to a cable, and I have my Agilent oscilloscope. This has a TV trigger setting, so this will allow it to record or gather data from this and then trigger every time it detects a TV signal. So hopefully when I hook this camera up, it's plugged in, it has a green light on it. Hopefully I will be able to see a signal. Oops. Oh, my foot. Okay. That's not how this is supposed to work. Just a second. Okay, so we have a signal. Let's adjust this down a bit. See if we turn the light on or off. Nothing happens. So that's not a good sign. Put our hand, blocking. Doesn't seem to be much of a change in the signal. I wonder if this is obstructed. Okay, so this is an amber filter, so this is blocking any light that isn't the color of ethidium, and it is very dirty. So let's put this in the clean. Okay, so this is interesting. We now have some change here. Oh, but when I move my hand close, yeah. So this might be a focus issue. So if I adjust focus, now when I'm moving my hand. These corresponding changes in the signal here. So we're getting some kind of video signal off of it. That's good. That means that... Oh, and now it's responding to the light being on or off. So that means that this is going to work if I can get a USB capture card that takes the CCTV input. So I think, let's see if I can turn UV on. Well, that might be something else that needs to be fixed. But that'll be the next part of this restoration. Okay, I've got a couple things figured out here. So first of all, you can definitely see that when my hand passes into this region, which I guess is what's focused on, it's definitely being picked up by the camera. So this is set to TV trigger and then adjusted. So this is partially in frame there. So next, this UV light was actually working, it just wasn't plugged in the back. So that light's off. Takes a second to warm up. There you go. Turns on and off. I'm able to pull a couple of these video capture cards out of the graveyard of forgotten computer parts. So this one has a mini PCI port, which my motherboard has one free. However, it does not have a video in. It has a TV tuner and it has S-video in, but I don't have S-video. This card has video in, but it is full on PCI and I don't have room for that. So I'm going to have to order something. Alright, so this is now working, actually working. So this is a BNC to RCA, oops, and an RCA adapter. And this is running to a device. Let's see if we can find this in the image. USB device, this USB capture device, and that runs to the laptop, recognizes it as a regular webcam, and then the webcam app, the built-in app on the computer, will let you take pictures. So this is just a gel casting instructions. Took a picture of it. Can open this up, move this around, and the image comes out. So the adjustments all work. The lens up here, it's actually kind of cool. This is a high-end C-mount lens. So this is something normally would have been used in like a TV camera, like a studio TV camera. And that's essentially what this is. It's a security camera, so it's black and white only. But it allows you to adjust the aperture And as we see over here, you can go all the way up to aperture of 1.0 or 16-ish. Yeah, completely closed actually. So up to about f16. So you can get as much light as you need, and if your resolution isn't high enough, you can just zoom in. And then the focus doesn't want to adjust that much, which is probably a good thing given the intended use. But there you go. So now, once I order a replacement amber filter, be able to image the gels in that just like it was intended to be. And someone was completely willing to throw this gel duct to the curb, as if it had no remaining functional life, as if you couldn't still use this to do good science with, which you can. Gels are something we still do in science, and they're something we'll probably do in science for a very long time, as a way of separating DNA, DNA proteins. This won't be so good for proteins, but for electrophoresis gels, this is really good. Yeah, so the UV light should work. Let's see what this looks like under UV. Oh, that's cool. Okay, let's adjust this. Yeah, so the UV light is working. So this is what the document looks like. The UV filter behind it, UV light behind it. Looks kind of cool in black and white. And that is the gel duct. All I had to do was find a way of getting a composite video signal from the camera to a modern laptop. Now what they charge for a new one of these, you probably easily spend $10,000, even though there's not much to this. The base, this is a UV light. These are, I don't know, let's be generous and say there's $500 in that. This is just a box. Literally just a box. It's nothing. So let's be generous and say it costs them $100. This is a light. That's all it is. That cost them nothing. And then the camera, and let's be generous and say there's $1,000 worth of camera there. So let's say, let's be generous and say $1,600 worth of parts. They would probably charge 10 grand for, because everything in science gets overcharged for. Literally everything. All right. Have a good one.